Hey guys, and we are back with another episode of Devil's Den. First and foremost, to anyone who's watching this in Canada, happy Canada Day. It is July 1st, and we are officially into the beginning of the first day of free agency in the NHL. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. This is Devil's Den. It is a series of videos that I like to do regarding the New Jersey Devils of the NHL. They are my favorite team, and we are basically going to be covering every single, or most of, the New Jersey Devils hockey games from last season, and this offseason, and next year as well. If you haven't seen some of my previous videos, go back and watch. We've already done close to 50 videos from last year and this offseason. The reason that we are here today is I have missed out on quite a bit of news from New Jersey. I originally was going to make a video when the Timo Meier and Tyler Toffoli news broke, but right as I was about to shoot my video, we had a power outage here and I wasn't able to film it. So here we are. I am a bit late. We've got some old news, we've got some new news, we've got some day one free agency breaking news. So let's go over it one time. I do have it all written down because, again, I've missed quite a bit over the last couple of days, even though my last video was like, I don't even think it was even a week ago, but I digress. We're going to go through the news. So, first things first, we're going to go through the offseason. So, from the previous videos, again, if you haven't seen them, go back and watch them. From previous videos, we've gone over Damon Severson going to Columbus for a third-round pick. We have Jesper Bratt signing an extension for 8 years, $63 million contract, which ends up being about $7.88 million a year. We have Eric Haula re-signing for 3 years for $3.1 million a year for about $9.5 million overall. And then some of the newer news, that's the old news. Again, I made videos about those previously, go back and watch them. But for the new news, we have quite a bit. So we'll start with the really big news first, and then we'll go into the smaller bits later on. So, first and foremost, the biggest news is Timo Meier re-signs with the New Jersey Devils for 8 long years. Now this is huge because the Devils have managed to lock up their best players for almost a decade, right? You've got Bratt re-signing for 8 years. You've got Meier re-signing for 8 years. You've got Hughes signed for 5. You've got Hischier signed for 8, or it's one of the two. Hughes is for 8, Hischier's for 5. One of the two. You've got your long-term core locked up for half to almost a complete decade, which is great news. Meier, obviously, I think Meier is, 32, 33 years old. He's going to be with us pretty much to the end of his career, unless he gets traded away later down the line. Maybe his, performance starts to peak and we get rid of him for something else. But Meier is locked in for 8 years, and he openly said when he was talking to the Devils GM Tom Fitzgerald, basically saying, I want to be here, I want to stay here, I love the guys, and I think this team has a really, really bright future, which is absolutely true, given that we have Timo Meier locked up for an additional 8 years. Another huge pick that we were able to make before today was the Tyler Toffoli trade. Now the Tyler Toffoli trade I kind of had reservations for, so to be clear, for those of you who don't know, we were able to trade Tyler Toffoli for Igor Sharangovich and a third, I believe it was. It was for a third-round pick. So Sharangovich and a third for Tyler Toffoli. For those of you who don't know, I absolutely love Igor Sharangovich, so that was a tough pill for me to swallow, but I realized we can't keep everyone. I wish we could after the season that we just had, but we can't keep everyone. It's not going to happen, right? So we got rid of Sharangovich, traded him away, and a third round for Tyler Toffoli, which, again, sucks we get to get rid of Sharangovich, but look at what we're able to pick up. So Tyler Toffoli is going to kind of complete our top 6 forwards. So you've got Meier, you've got Hischier, you've got Bratt, you've got Hughes, you've got Toffoli, you've got Mercer. That's essentially your top 6, which is phenomenal. It's a great top 6. Arguably, some of the best top 6 in the league, I would argue. Toffoli brings with him age, brings with him experience. Toffoli was with, I believe, he was with Calgary originally, but I think he was on, who is it, LA or Vancouver? LA, obviously, in recent memory, has had, deep playoff pushes, has had Stanley Cup wins, 8, 9 years ago. I think this is a really great pickup. Tyler Toffoli brings with him, he's an average 30 goal scorer a year, so that's more points you can put on the board with a guy like Tyler Toffoli. He provides us depth, he provides us goal scoring, he provides the team with experience with a team that is still very, very young. Right? I think this year our average age was like 24 years old, so very young baby team for the league. And now we bring in some of that veteran leadership: Meyer, Toffoli, Dougie Hamilton. Like, these are guys that can kind of shape the way the Devils locker room kind of operates and bring with them sort of a veteran leadership. So that's the big ones: Meyer, Toffoli, both signed. Adios to Sharangovich. You will be missed. Those are the big ones: Meyer and Toffoli. Okay? Next up, we have a little odd... These are guys I'd never heard of, so I apologize. So New Jersey Devils receive Shane Bauer for Riley Walsh. So we send Riley Walsh to Colorado. In return, we get Shane Bauer. Shane Bauer is basically just going to provide us some depth on the road. You know, if one guy, he'll probably be a healthy scratch most of the year or play in the AHL, and he'll probably get brought in for depth forwards. Say some guy gets injured down the line, like a McLeod or a Bastion, you bring him in, you put him on the fourth line, maybe third if, you know, you're really desperate. You put him on, he's just a depth forward. Kind of nice to have. That way, if, you know, you have one or two injuries, it's not going to bust your whole lineup, which has been a little bit of a problem for New Jersey the last couple of years. But otherwise, depth guy, decent pickup for Fitzgerald, and we move on. So after the Shane Bauer one, we traded Mackenzie Blackwood to which I covered in my previous video. We traded Mackenzie Blackwood to the San Jose Sharks for a 6th round pick, which is, again, would have preferred a 5th round, but here we are, maybe a 4th if we're really pushing for it. Maybe San Jose is a little more generous, but anyways, we trade Blackwood away. That was kind of a figure. Blackwood's getting traded away because he hasn't been great, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. Originally, what was being talked about was Blackwood and San Jose were actually having trouble making a deal, but it turns out Blackwood has signed with the San Jose Sharks for 2 years, I think for like $2 or $3 million. $2 or $3 million contract. So he's going to get what he's going to get, and we'll kind of go from there. Next, we have Devils are receiving... I can't speak. Devils receive Colin Miller from the Dallas Stars for a 5th round pick, which again, kind of similar to the Shane Bauer, although I think Miller is probably going to get more playing time. Colin Miller is your basic depth D-man, right? He's basically a Brendan Smith replacement. He'll probably play on the bottom pairing. Again, maybe if an injury comes up, you throw him on the second pairing. Maybe, but he'll probably be a depth D-man. Took a look at his stats, and one big thing that kind of popped out to me was, for those of you who have watched my videos from the past, you know that when I'm looking at defensemen, one of the big stats I'm looking at is plus minus. And this year with Dallas, I think he was a plus 20-something, plus 22, plus 23, really good plus minus, which means he is on the ice more when we score than when we're scored on, which is good. It also means, potentially, he's not on the ice when goals are allowed, which is great, because if you've got a bottom pairing D-man who doesn't allow a lot of goals on the bottom pairing, your top pairing, it takes a little bit of their workload and removes it a little bit, because you can trust that bottom pairing to play well in front of the goalie and not allow as many goals. So that's a big one. We picked him up. He's also a pretty big guy. Well, not pretty big, but he's a bigger guy in defenseman, big shoulders. It's going to work out. Depth D-man for New Jersey. And now for the two big ones that dropped today. So this is Nate Bastion and Michael McLeod, who were sent to arbitration to kind of figure out their contracts. Both have re-signed with the Devils. I believe Bastion has signed for 2 years, 2-year contract for $1.35 million a year. I love this contract. I love Nate Bastion. I saw a couple people on social media, because that hellish landscape. Bastion resigns for cheap. We get him for 2 more years. He is an absolutely phenomenal guy to have on your fourth line. He played phenomenally, anchored that penalty kill this year. I think he's a great guy that you can send in, really talented player. Defensively is fantastic. He's a fourth line forward, third or fourth line forward, depending on where you want to toss him. Plays really well defensively on the defensive end of the puck. Great on the penalty kill. One of the big reasons, in my opinion, our penalty kill was so good this last year. He's a big part of that, and I'm so glad to have him back. On the other hand, we have Michael McLeod re-signing for a single year, $1.4 million. Again, cheap deal. We get him for one more year. We'll see what happens. I'd like to see him step up a little bit more this year. He definitely stepped up near the end of the year, and even to the extent sometimes in the playoffs, where you'd have McLeod stepping up on the play. He got a couple of points in the playoffs. We did really well on the back end of the season, which is great because that's when you kind of see your top guys start to fade a little bit before the playoffs. And it's nice when your top guys aren't producing that you can trust your third and fourth line guys like Nate Bastion, guys like Michael McLeod, guys like Eric Holla, guys like Andre Palat to kind of step up and cause that point production, which is fantastic. So, I believe that is everything that I have covered for New Jersey. Maybe I'm missing something that's happened right when this video is dropped, but I have combed through Devil's Twitter, I have combed through Devil's Facebook, I have combed through everything I can find, NHL.com, everything that I could get my hands on, but that is our off-season. So, I want to say one thing. Tom Fitzgerald is having the off-season of his career, okay? I need to point this out. This year alone, okay? He has been able to re-sign Jesper Bratt to a long-term contract. Has been able to re-sign Eric Holla, okay? Was able to re-sign Timo Meier to a long-term contract. Was able to bring in Tyler Toffoli. Was able to re-sign Nathan Bastion. Was able to re-sign Michael McLeod. Was able to get rid of guys like Blackwood while getting something decent in return. Yes, we dump Sharon Govich. Yes, we probably won't be re-signing Boakfist, which is kind of a tough loss, but he's going to be good no matter what he does. Tom Fitzgerald has basically taken the main players for New Jersey, locked them up long term, while not losing a whole hell of a lot. You still have Vitek Vanacek, you still have Akira Schmid playing goal for us. I don't see us getting Hellebuck. I've already mentioned I don't think that we should. That's in a previous video. You can go back and watch that. And I think we still end up having $5.6, $5.7 million in cap space, which is nice to have because you can kind of play around with that come trade deadline time or in future contract talks, right? Because again, if Michael McLeod has a really good year this year, because he's going to be a UFA at the end of this year anyways, maybe you take, $2 or $3 million of that money and you give it to McLeod at the end of the year to keep him, maybe sign him for 2 or 3 years, give him $1 million a year. I don't know. We'll see. Fitzgerald was having the off season of his life. Between this year and last year and the year before that, with bringing in guys like Hamilton, we're bringing up Luke Hughes on defense. We still have Simon Nemec waiting in the wings in the AHL. Maybe he'll get some NHL playing time this year. We do lose out on guys like Ryan Graves, which I think for me that's my biggest gripe. Biggest gripe is losing Graves and losing Tatar. I really like those guys. Tatar was a plus 40 this year. Graves, I really liked having him on the team. Again, I don't see us re-signing him. Maybe they get picked up by someone else and they have a really good career moving forward, but that's kind of my take on things. And yeah, so we lose out on Sharon Govich, we lose out on Graves, we lose out on Tatar, which kind of sucks, but we keep McLeod, we keep Bastion, we keep Meier, we keep Bratt, we bring in Toffoli. I'm going to call it a win. I think Fitzgerald knows what he's doing. He's got a good head on his shoulders. And, yeah, that's about it. If we do end up re-signing someone or trading someone or picking someone up in free agency, I'll make another video covering that. But I wanted to get all of this out now because, like I said, I had missed the initial news for Meyer and Toffoli and Bauer and the rest of them. So I want to make this video to kind of get a full picture of what this team is going to look like. Again, we still have Palat. You still have all of these other guys who weren't RFAs and UFAs this year, which is fantastic. So I think that wraps up everything I wanted to say. And I will see you guys in the next one. Adios.